I just finished reading Wuthering Heights, and now I'm going through and watching all the movie adaptations. So far, I have watched the 1939 version, the 1970s version, the 1992 version, and now I'm watching the 2011 version. So let's see how it compares.
Wherever souls live, I feel I'm wrong.
Mrs. Linton.
John.
I'm gonna start with the things I liked about this movie before I talk about the things that I didn't like. The main thing that I found interesting that they did in this movie was that they kind of told it more from Heathcliff's perspective. Obviously, in the book, Nellie is the one narrating. The 1992 version had Emily Bronte herself kind of narrating the story, which was interesting. But this one is definitely like, what did Heathcliff personally go through? Which is an interesting change, I will say. And I guess if you wanted a much more harsher, realistic feeling version of Wuthering Heights, this would be the best one. But I honestly think it almost goes too realistic and harsh, where it almost loses all of the intrigue of the original story. Somehow, this movie managed to take an incredibly interesting and twisty story and make it the most boring thing possible in 2 hours. And only still covered the first half of the book. I think this version is probably better for people who think the 2026 version is a little too mushy gushy, lovey dovey. This one is much more hyper realistic in a way that just feels a little unsettling. And I know the story is very dark, but there is a level of romanticism and beauty that goes along with it that to me this movie just doesn't hit to. I just did not really feel the love or passion between Kathy and Heathcliff. So when he came back, it just felt very like anticlimactic for them to be reunited. Also, what bugged me too is that there are almost no iconic lines from the book in this movie. Because it's from Heathcliff's perspective, we almost miss the entire monologue of Kathy telling Nellie how much she loves Heathcliff and it would degrade her to marry him. Like, we pretty much miss all that scene because we're seeing it from Heathcliff's perspective and he supposedly leaves during that scene. We don't see any of it, basically. Also, we really don't get the whole, like, haunt me then, like take any form. We don't get any of that from Heathcliff either. So I'm like, this is Wuthering Heights, but without any of the good stuff. There's also just these like long, dramatic shots and a lot of like shaky cam. So, like I said, I guess if you don't like the 2026 version for being lovey dovey, maybe this would be more for you. It's definitely darker, more realistic in that way. I just think it leaves out a lot of what makes Wuthering Heights such an interesting story.